Here we are, Candidate Conversations with Skye. I have the pleasure of being with Rebecca Kassay. She is an Assembly candidate for District 4 that's on the North Shore of Suffolk County. And specifically, you're in Port Jeff, right, Rebecca?
You got it. I live in Port Jeff, and I'm looking forward to representing the whole district.
And I know we just had a great off-the-record conversation that we should have recorded because it was absolutely hysterical, but maybe we can give the people a little insight into what it is that we just spoke about.
We'll just dig deeper in this one. This one will be even better.
So tell us your background.
Sure. So I grew up in St. James, right on the border of Three Village, St. James, Smithtown area, and my mom loves when I tell this story, so here I go. She would, to entertain us kids, put us in our little red radio flyer wagon and bring us down the street to pick up the garbage that people had thrown out the window or blown out of trash cans. And as little kids, my two older siblings and I would always complain. We're like, why do we have to do this? This is, we didn't put the trash here. And she'd turn around and just say, well, if we don't do it, who will? And that really stuck with me as a young person. And then, going into high school, I took an AP Environmental Science class, and it was the first class that really clicked for me. It was the first thing that where I said, wow, this is something that I could see spending a lot of time digging deeper into. And it's something that affects all of our lives. Even if someone's not a self-identified environmentalist, we are part of sort of this bigger world of give and take of materials and where's our trash going and the choices of the car we drive, all of it. So I ended up going to school for environmental science and minoring in communications and media because as you know well, Skye, it's so important to be able to talk to people about what you're passionate about and what you hope for them to know, and start by listening. So that was, I came out of there and I had interned at Avalon Park and Preserve for the summers between college the college semesters, and ended up getting hired there to create a teen environmental volunteer program, which was something I had an idea for while interning. So I got to network with dozens of environmental nonprofits throughout Suffolk County and hundreds of kids who were looking for, to check the box for community service hours or looking to get involved in the community. And I ran that for 7 years, and it was just the most rewarding job that I could have imagined because, the young people would come in and say, oh, I need 10 hours of community service, but then they get their 10 hours and then keep coming back, because it was a program that gave them a sense of stewardship and satisfaction and connection in their communities. And so, I loved, one of the things I love most is hearing from them. And now they're a fire watcher in California, or they're a part of their Audubon Society, or they're doing environmental studies down in Florida. So it's, that's something I'm very, very proud of.
The beautiful thing, and I'm a nature lover myself, and I studied chemistry in college, so I'm a science brain.
There you go. So yeah, science girl. I just heard the term STEMinist for the first time, like the STEM feminist. I was like, all right, we're yeah.
But tell us, because you have this experience in the environment. I know we talked about it off camera, but for some reason, right, this whole concept, when you talk about the environment and climate change, that's automatically you're a lefty. How do we, because you have the background in environment and communications, how can we rebrand this so that it makes sense to everyone, especially across Long Island, where there's Democrats and a lot of Republicans?
Absolutely. And whether it's the environment or any other issue, criminal justice, even cost of living somehow gets politicized, we have to listen first and understand where someone is at and what their issues are, and use the language they're using. So, I was saying, I've ended up running for local office in Port Jeff Village here. And as a trustee, I came in and I was like, hey, we need to save the environment. We need to fight climate change and, mitigate this. And everyone would just glaze over on the board. They're like, what? She's talking about trees again. What's happening? And then I learned over the course of the 4 years I've been in village government as a trustee and now the deputy mayor, I've learned that you have to listen, sort of throw something out there and say, hey, what do we think about the flooding issues? And across the board, everyone says, absolutely, we need to address the flooding. So I don't need to say the words climate change in the room every time. It's sort of about getting people comfortable with the direction we need to be moving together. And then once we're going there, say, hey, So the flooding is getting more intense. We agree with that, right? And it's like more frequent. So I think that has to do with this data. And then, I'll present to them climate change data. And it's been very successful in slowly opening people's eyes to that conversation and getting them along for it, and seeing that environmental, like sustainable movement in the community is actually the most fiscally responsible thing the government can undertake.
Okay, so it's good to have an understanding of that. And I also learned another fun fact about you. You run an Airbnb with your husband.
I do, and we're even like an official B&B. So we are on Airbnb, but then we're like an old school style. It's an 1850 Victorian right on Main Street in Port Jeff. My husband and I bought the house 11 years ago, and then opened the business 10 years ago. Actually, next month is official decade open, and it's just been a trip. We bought our home as a young couple. The cost of living was wild then, and it's even crazier now. So that's really informed me, the fact that I wouldn't be able to buy a house here now, 10 years later. Is something that really drives me to help confront that cost of living crisis. But even back then, we bought the home and we said, well, we kind of need it to be an income source as well, because even working 2 full-time jobs between the two of us, we're like, it's a little, it's tight here. So we opened the B&B saying, like, how much work could it be? It's like, it is a lot. It's a lot of laundry. It's a lot of, meeting people and greeting them, and you don't know who's coming in the door and what literal or figurative baggage they are bringing with them. But that's been part of the practice, and sort of like an unexpected preparation for public service and elected office, because that's what meeting constituents is all about. It's like, hey, this is who I am and this is what I'm offering right now. Please tell me what you need and how I could make you more comfortable or happy, and let's see what we could do about that together,
Wow, this is great. We just drew a parallel between public service and running a B&B, a bed and breakfast.
Yeah. And it is, and so like 10 years practice there, 4 years practice in elected office here. And then, being an environmental educator, I didn't, if you'd asked me like 5 years ago if I was going to be running for state office, I would have looked behind me and been like, who are you talking to? What is, because that was not what compelled me to take the path that I've taken, but my path has compelled me to run for office and bring these perspectives and experiences to the table.
I love it. Rebecca Kassay will be following along your race for Assembly District 4, North Shore of Suffolk County, and we'll be on the lookout also for your bed and breakfast. We want to hear what kind of visitors you have coming your way this summer.
Absolutely, Skye. Thank you so much for having me on and for shining a light on all the candidates. It's very much appreciated. It is public service itself.